All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for My Hero Academia, Season 5, Episode 2.
Hawk's meeting with Dobby.
Yes, Hawk's meeting with Dobby. Curious. We have the whole class coming back. Mm-hmm. We have the teasing of one of our bestest good boys from Season 2, Shinso, potentially coming back. I'm so freaking excited for this season. The idea also of there being just potential Endeavor focus, like following up on that, it really felt like the end of Season 4 was the beginning of a new arc. We had that whole, like, here's like the new top 10 heroes kind of list. We had basically this new boy Hawks kind of come onto the scene and get lots of focus to be like, hey, he's an important character. Then he gets the end credits scene in the recap episode. Yeah.
This is very much a new era, right? And Endeavor
not All Might's era.
Not All Might's era. And that means that we need to set the stage, set the board with the pieces. And right now, Endeavor and Hawks are kind of the literally the top two, but also, we'll have to see narratively how they get their focus. But
exactly.
I mean, a hero working with villains, I'm very happy about this.
Yeah. So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion.
Okay.
All right, guys, buckle in.
Curious.
Buckle in. We've got three big things to talk about here.
Yes.
So,
first
Hawks.
Hawks. Yeah.
Fantastic setup for a character. And we have now had things twisted about, I would say, about 45 degrees from where we thought they were going with things.
Yep.
But also ironed in some things that we were kind of going in a similar direction with. So he is
working to get in with the League of Villains. He's working with Dobby because he wants to get access to Shigaraki. It's good stuff. Good stuff.
He is basically the undercover hero who was seemingly like potentially recruited as a child. Is being pushed along, like, definitely to get all this stuff done. Like, he's 22 years old, agency at 18, top 10 under 20 years old, first in history to do all that. He's definitely getting that kind of almost, I would call it the equivalent of like CIA help, where it's basically like someone who's basically brought up at a young age because you have an exceptional quirk, and you have good instincts to save people, so you're probably a good person that we can trust.
And also you're from a bad family situation, so you're easy to use.
It looked like he had an alcoholic dad. It looked like that was his dad, and there was just beer cans everywhere.
And it's great because then they can basically take him away.
And save him.
And
Very
the thing
MHA,
Right. And depending on the perspective, it could be a very good or a very bad thing.
Exactly.
Because on the one hand, you're changing your family situation, you're getting away from an alcoholic dad, and any other family members are being taken care of because financially they're good to go, right?
Endeavor, that's why he's a big fan of him. He had his bad father taken away from him, and Endeavor is basically like the dad that he even wished he could have had, even though Endeavor is not perfect. In fact, he's the worst father in MHA.
But he is on the opposite side of the road from what his dad probably was, because
he probably is doing something. And
because not only can we assume that his dad was alcoholic, but odds are he wasn't actually financially providing for his family, and that's why they were able to use that as a here, kid, we're not going to strong-arm you into doing this, but we're definitely going to pressure you. And
we're going to give you this, like, big carrot. Like,
big carrot that, you, as a kid, you don't really have any way to say no to, right?
And in a lot of ways, he probably didn't make the decision ultimately. His dad might have been the one that just been like,
possibly.
Yes, absolutely. Don't you want to be a hero, son?
Sure,
And then he's cashing the checks.
Yeah, right. Now, at this point, right, he's an adult, right? He's not a kid.
He's a fully grown adult.
Fully grown adult. He's got his own agency and things like that. So that at least wouldn't have any hold over him, right?
Right.
He now
there's probably some emotional stuff going on there.
Yeah, definitely some emotional stuff. And the suits people, weren't actually asking for him to do the undercover thing, which he pointed out, and they acknowledged.
They're like, we know.
Yeah, we know. Yeah. It's but this is how it is, right?
But this is also like what you want, your long-term goal, right?
Right.
Which
so I'm curious to see how they explore that further.
Right. We get a little bit of insight into that, in that his main thing is about basically making it so heroes, like he said on stage, heroes get basically the opportunity to have that free time and that mean something.
He wants to basically put heroes out of business
by making everything really safe and really
good. So that way they don't need to be around, and it's like, okay, awesome.
That is childlike idealism, though.
Yes.
There is no way you can fundamentally solve society's problems as a hero in this world. We've already had the show kind of beat us over the head in a kind of one of the better ways about the show, that hero society doesn't work in perpetuity.
No.
Like, a lot of it needs to adjust, evolve. It needs to have that flexibility to change.
Even within the upper echelons of the superheroes in hero society, there's lots of change that needs to be had. Hence why, when they had that whole top 10 announcement thing, it turned out the way it did.
Right, exactly.
But Okay. He's working with Dabi. They had an original agreement of, we're going to test out Nomus because he's wanting to get info on Nomus, and he made the, he agreed to the more morally gray call of, I'm going to give you a hero that you can test it on, right?
Right.
So it's good for both parties, but instead they both didn't trust each other, right?
They both lied, essentially.
Yeah. He brought Endeavor.
Right. But Dabi is the one that really screwed it up initially, because he was saying that it was going to happen at a different place and time.
Yeah.
But what this was it was something where the Nomu High-End attacked just the two of them here, which means that in a lot of ways, there was a part of this that was Hawks kind of adjusting to it, because that's why he went and talked and walked through all the town
to basically
and
broadcast that this is the situation, right? And
so also, he has the excuse to give to Endeavor.
Right? Yeah. Which also, if you think about it, does kind of tell Dabi, I'm not doing things the way that we would have originally thought, right?
Right, but Dabi was the one that changed things up. Like, in a lot of ways, Hawks can't be the one that's held responsible for the fact that they were going to set up something at a different time and place.
Yeah, Dabi was definitely going to change things regardless, but it's also sort of that justification of, you said you'd just bring a hero, and you brought, literally the strongest hero,
there is
right now. Like, what the hell, man?
Yeah.
And because in a lot of ways, even though High-End made that big splash and it changed a bit of the PR surrounding Endeavor and top heroes, because a lot of people like him more, but then at the same time, he had so much trouble with just one little Nomu, they can't get that Nomu back, right? like because All for One is locked up, their Nomu supply is limited, and if that was one of their best Nomus, that they had, or the best, probably like in the top 3. Then that's a big loss. That is a big loss.
And they got really nothing out of it, but in some ways,
just a flashy display.
Oh, right. But in some ways, they actually lost something. The villains made Endeavor a little bit more beloved by the people in general.
Right, that was his weakness before.
I loved the meme of the boy being like, "Hey, over there, hey boy,"
and he was dubbed like the Look Boy.
The Look Boy, yeah, exactly. Look, right.
I love it.
The Look Boy is trending, and now there's fan, paraphernalia stuff being sold. That is legit it works in the real world. I love in some ways how MHA kind of comments without really taking themselves that seriously on
internet
our world.
And
we're right, but it feels like it could exist in our world at times, and this was just one of those times.
Right. Well, and just in general, the whole disparity / breakdown in communication, cooperation, but in society, so that there's heroes and villains when it's not as clear cut,
course,
like that's good stuff.
So Dabi tried to
finish the job.
Well, he tried to confront Endeavor.
Oh yeah, that's right, because he was
surrounded them in flames.
Don't die, NG.
Yeah. He did not just go in and vaporize the two of them. And what I'm guessing it was he's basically like, Hawks, you're here. Okay, this is awkward because I can't just, fight you because you and we're double we're double dealing right now.
But you guys are both wounded, so if I wanted to, maybe I could.
Right, maybe I could. Maybe I could get away with this here. The thing that's crazy is that in some ways, I think he was going to basically call him out and be like, hey, do you know who I am? Like they literally in this episode brought up the name of the child, the other boy, the one with the only red hair, meaning the one with just the fire quirk, the one that it's totally Dabi.
Right.
It's totally Dabi.
Yep.
But then suddenly a wild bunny rabbit appears and bitch slaps the ground. She didn't hit him. She hit the ground and then just bounced back up and was just like, what?
Got the number 1, number 2, and number 5 hero all in one place. That's
and then Dabi's just like,
you should leave.
I'm a deuces. See y'all later. It's been good.
What they really need to do. Forget Shigaraki, Hawks. You really just need to find the villains that have those translocation quirks and get rid of them.
Yeah.
Like you got
that's the thing, they probably never will. They've got to be too careful. Like that's their whole thing.
They got one of them. They got their warp gate guy.
So that's the thing I had a question with is I'm now confused. When did they get warp gate?
Like this is really like apparent.
So they get him at the Bakugo rescue raid?
They got him at some point. I think he was in the second half of season 4 or somewhere around there.
No, definitely not. It would have had to have been in the Bakugo raid of season 3.
Yeah, I can't remember when it was, but it definitely happened.
Okay, no. I'm going to go out there on a limb here and say, I'm going to go out there on a limb and say they did not, because that was the whole thing with the Nomus showing up. And then they all ended up getting away. And then at the Camino Ward bit, All For One forcibly activated the Warp Gate guy's power, sucked everyone into it by throwing the magnet from Magni into there, pulled everyone else through the Warp Gate. Oh, no, was that his gate then?
Well, I don't know.
Okay, let's just move on.
There's a point where they showed it.
Let's just move on. Let's move on. Yeah. So, Todoroki. Todoroki, the whole family. Yeah,
great scene. I really appreciate how it happened because the sister is kind of putting forward the idealistic approach to things, right? Which isn't good, right? Or not that it's not good. That's not how it's going to work, right? And that's okay because she wants it all to basically be like, hey, let's all be a happy family now. But it's like, no. You can't just erase the past. But that was what was cool about what Endeavor did at the end of season 4 anyways, is that he wasn't saying that it's all going to be perfect now. He wasn't saying that, like, I expect you to forgive me or anything like that.
He has no expectations.
Right. He said, watch me. Right. It's that in the same way that I was chasing after Allmight, the one that I could never, ever reach, I don't care if it's impossible. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to keep going. I am going to make this right as best I can, and I won't stop until I do. Even if it's one little stick, one little stone trying to make a bridge.
Yeah, exactly. I love that little image of him building the bridge there because it's not just going to be him trying to build the bridge to Allmight. It's him trying to build the bridge back to his family.
Exactly, and that's the example of where his strength that has been a negative in the past can be a positive. And that's also what can be brought up with regards to Dabi's whole situation, because Shoto and his other brother Natsuo, they're not ready, right?
Well, they're at different levels of ready, though.
They're at different levels of ready.
That's the point that they brought up here, was that Shoto wanted to see where this would go.
And that actually means that he's come a long way.
Yeah, in some ways, then he is kind of ready. Natsuo's not, because in a lot of ways, what's been robbed of them is not just a good father, but he said, I just found out that Shoto likes soba noodles.
Yeah.
In a joking, innocuous line, the fact that we get those little title transition cards where they show the hero name, their info, and then likes and dislikes on the bottom right. Yeah. That's the thing that's on Todoroki's thing. It says that he likes soba noodles. That's his thing.
Yeah.
We know that as the audience. But a brother who grew up with him didn't get to know that because his father forcibly removed them from Shoto's life.
Yep.
That's cruel.
Oh, yeah. Like, because
Yeah. So he basically is like, I'm not forgiving you.
Yeah, of course not.
I can't just undo the past because you're doing a lot of good things now.
Yeah, no one can undo the past. And that's fantastic that you're doing great at work. And that is promising at the very least that you're trying to turn things around.
Yeah.
But the things that you turn around at work have no bearing whatsoever on you being a good dad.
Exactly.
Right? That's great that you're the #1 hero and that you defeated a strong villain and a bunch of people are starting to like you now. That's awesome.
I'm proud of you, but you know what?
But
that has nothing to do with you being a dad.
Yep. This is a completely different thing.
Yeah, it's a different battlefield. Yeah.
Right, and it's not weirdly enough, and this is going to sound I'm going to try and figure out the best way to say this, but it's not as simple as he was just physically abusive to Shoto.
Yeah.
Because that happened. That is the most immediately, physically, viscerally sort of like obvious issue, right?
Yeah.
But there's layers to it.
Yeah, and then
there's a lot.
Yeah, there's the consequences that proceeded from that, and I liked the way that Enji. And I just almost want to start calling him by his first name now, because I just love that more.
Yeah, Endeavor's his work name kind of a thing.
Yeah, exactly. If we're thinking about the guy who is a father and a husband, this is the part that I think was really brutal for me, was him seeing in his mind's eye his wife's
post-breakdown,
panicked, broken down looks there.
Yep.
Yeah, this bit here, where he's like, what about the futures I cut short? If my goal now is to guarantee their future, what do I do about the futures I cut short?
And if anything, quite frankly, NG, if you want a place to start there. Because that's because if you want this family to be whole again, get it up to the same number of people first. Right? Then work on the actual quality of the connections and the relationships.
Yeah.
Because
in a lot of ways, in some ways, you shouldn't expect anything from your kids right now. But your wife, like you two, like that's where things should start.
Yep.
In a lot of ways, your kids should not feel responsible to make their efforts here.
Don't put that burden on them.
Exactly.
They are younger. Don't expect them to necessarily be mature about this. And
they have all the time in the world to do that.
Yes.
But you don't, Endeavor. Or NG. You don't have all that time.
Yeah.
So what I love about this is they're saying, what about the futures I cut short? There's a possibility here, and I got death flags for him, Mr. Hawks himself here. I think that futures I cut short very much feels like what happened in a pseudo-subtle way with Hawks.
Right. His childhood was definitely taken away.
Well,
he kind
of
never really had one. But.
Exactly. Someone came in and said, I will guarantee your family's future. It's like, wait a minute. He's Endeavor. He was Endeavor's biggest fan. Like he loves Endeavor, right?
Yeah.
But then, wait. What if it's actually a thing of where it's like, no, the future was actually cut short because Hawks basically.
Okay.
Because he's basically Icarus, you know? He's the one that flies so fast, so high, so brilliantly, and now he's being pushed to be like, go infiltrate the League of Villains.
Yeah, he burns out. Right. Yeah, exactly.
Go do all this stuff for us where you will, get into the grime and the muck of it.
Yes.
Because it'll make other people's lives better. It's like,
Yeah, they're heroes have their limits,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
And we saw that at the end of season 4 with the fight against High-End. But we also saw it in another kind of simpler way here with the fact that Hawks has a recharge time for his feathers.
Oh, okay.
When he went to Dobby there, Dobby could have absolutely killed him.
Right.
With his little feathers and stuff. I'm sure he's very competent and he would have put up a good fight with those little feathers.
Yeah.
But if Dobby really wanted to, he could have roasted him alive.
Yeah.
Right? But he did it. He went into that place, a place where he was in an incredible amount of danger. The people who put him up to this don't particularly seem to be caring about his own safety. Now, granted, he's the number 2 hero, so he should be able to take care of himself just fine.
It's probably a utilitarian thing where they're like, no.
Yeah, you can handle this.
You can handle this, and we also will utilize you to the utmost. So we're not going to let you just die here.
You're the golden son, right? You've been doing a great job so far. So
We've put a lot of work into you.
Well, yeah,
We've invested a lot into you.
You've astonished us at every turn, right? So,
right.
So you haven't shown any weakness or concept of limitations thus far that anyone has been able to see.
Yeah. So you're a wonder boy.
Yeah, you're a wonder boy. So we'll keep expecting wondrous things from you, And yeah, if something were to happen to Hawks, that would be that'd be pretty crazy.
Yeah, and in a lot of ways, I kind of really, really like what they're setting up here by having a good third of this episode be focused on Endeavor's family situation, casually bringing up now the name of the boy, which was definitely the one that ended up becoming Dabi.
Yeah.
Toya, was the name. We are basically setting up a parallel potential here for basically a pseudo son of Endeavor through Hawks, and then this lost son of Endeavor in Dabi, and then the two in the middle, the ones that are actually there willing to give him basically a neutral shot, Shoto in the one that's like, I'm interested to see where this goes. I'm not holding out. Yeah, I'm not offering you any tokens here.
But I'm watching. Yeah, you said watch me. I got my attention.
Watching. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then you have the sister who's like, I'm trying to be the initiator, the facilitator,
if anything,
let's all have dinner together,
Right. And this might be something where it's just that they're saying that she wasn't as hurt by the things that happened in the past or came to peace with it a lot better or whatever.
People like are willing to forgive. Like people are willing to forgive a lot sometimes. Like,
sure. But if anything, I would love to see, and I get the feeling that the show might not go into this, because of how things have been set up so far. But I would love to see her acknowledging, because I feel like her being willing to have this be sort of, it almost feels brushed under the rug, like quickly,
It's been years though.
Sure.
Remember, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
And I would say just for the sake of numbers, Jacob, I think it's almost a bit just they wanted to fill 3 archetypes here. Shoto is the one in the middle. Right. The girl is the one who's the most willing to accept him, and then Natsuo. I don't remember the sister's name yet, but Natsuo, the brother who
I'll never
blew
forget
up
the name
at him.
Natsuo.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah. Especially with totally not Natsuo, pink hair boy who,
Wait, no, that's Natsu. I know.
Natsu from Fairy Tail.
Is the MC from Domestic Girlfriend.
Okay. I mixed up the name of the main guy in Fairy Tail. Then I thought it was Natsuo.
But I would be curious to see what kind of any potential emotions that the sister still needs to resolve might be there. It might be that she's already figured it out, moved on, whatever. Or
she's just trying to be the leader here.
Sure.
Because Enji can't be the one to initiate this entirely. They're just going to keep rejecting him if that goes this way there. Yeah. So she's kind of doing the, hey, actually, by the way, I said this was going to be, us siblings, but I invited Dad, and then and then they're just like, really,
right? Bear with me. I think we can, and then it's the I
it doesn't work.
I can't do this. Yeah,
right. And that might be it. It's just that they're good kids. Yeah. They'll be like, it'll be a good test. Let's just see.
Right.
And he shows up, and that was a pretty bad scar there.
That was
amazing. The purple aura of just like like no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but that's good. That's good because the thing is that Endeavor thrives in hardship, right? Like that's where he does best.
That's his thing.
When he's got the impossible task, Like if it's dealing with random villains on the street, it's like, okay, yeah, he does well against that, right? But where he really shines is in the dark. Right?
Sure.
Like when things are worst, that's when the prominence burn, no one can ignore it, right?
Right. So you have to watch me.
Yeah, you have to watch me. So given that they aren't really giving him much of an in, that excites me. That excites me because this is where you actually get to prove to them beyond a shadow of a doubt, Enji, that this is a change. This isn't just you randomly having a good day.
Exactly.
Like, you're different.
Right. I'm really excited for that as well because Endeavor's big thing.
Yeah.
His big thing has been that All Might was the one he chased after.
Right.
All Might has now faded. All Might and him have had really good talks about what it means to be that symbol, to have that strength. Why do you have it? It has to be a very simple answer, right? And his was that his answer he kind of came to is, I'm going to guarantee their future.
Right.
What I love about that is that it's a selfless ideal and goal. Basically, it makes a lot of sense. You know, I will be the shield that guards the realms of men. You know,
exactly.
Very kind of mythic and just simple. You know, right? But the part that's I would just say just really really good about this is that the future of children, for instance, is something that is just full of possibilities and hope and expectation and all of this. And yet, there's not always, especially in this kind of idyllic society, even though there are villains and stuff that are just casually brought up and things like that, the future of kids is wonderful in this world for the most part.
Right. So because it's superheroes and things like that, everything's scaled up, right? Things are naturally put into that more mythic status. So same issues are there and much bigger and more problematic, but at the same time, the positives are much easier to see.
Yeah, but it is a thing that is completely opposite to reconciling of the past. So, if we think about it from the standpoint that he's guaranteeing the future, what does that look like from a family perspective? I think what it primarily does is that he is basically saying, I promise to you to guarantee this future that we will share by being just blood related, by family and that it will be something that I will make efforts towards.
Sure.
I cannot guarantee you that it will be a good future, that it will be a future with me even in it, that will be a future with me, doing all those things, but it will be your future.
Right. The image I'm getting is that it's I will build that foundation. Right. And I will you can stand on my shoulders, you can jump from my shoulders, and whether that's to get away from me or to just try and reach higher, that's okay.
Whatever that looks like.
Yeah,
exactly.
But whatever I can do for you, I will. Right?
Yeah, it feels like something that should be in some ways the goal of any father.
Sure.
Is that you can't make your children do certain things or be certain things or like have certain powers the way you'd want them to.
And theoretically, even if you could, that wouldn't actually get you the result that you want.
Right. Yeah. So therefore, this is something where it feels like the evolution of his negative, which was him trying to fashion their future for them. And now he's basically going back to, no, I'm just going to guarantee it.
Right. I will be your fuel.
Right. I am not going to hold you. I'm not going to try
I won't try and forge you.
Yeah.
But I will be your furnace.
Right. I will be your stepping stone, basically.
Right. I will be that warm place that you can return to. I will be the thing that you can, draw power from or whatever.
And that gives you almost nothing, Endeavor. And that's why in some ways I'm excited about it, is that it's in some ways entirely selfless.
Right. And in order for that to truly be sustainable, we need to figure out where Endeavor will draw his own source of strength from.
Exactly.
And that's again why,
otherwise he'll burn out.
Right. And that's why I would say that it's even more important that he goes and resolves things with his wife first.
Yes,
so that
exactly.
way he can get her on his side, because if he gets her on his side, then and who knows how long that would take.
She did the sister did say that she is smiling now.
Yes.
It's basically a thing of where the mother, and this was something that was brought up in the end of season 4, the mother is already starting to move back towards him.
Yeah.
And the reasons for that are some of the things that I'm curious to see how they do it, but the kids aren't all agreeing or necessarily understanding of that. It's a thing of like, whoa. They're like, whoa, is he, like they're feeling probably kind of protective of her. Like, is he trying to manipulate or control you again?
Right. Well, and that's again probably one of the reasons why I think that would be also better, just for the sake of making the kids more accepting of him. Because
they see the result of it in an immediate family member.
Right. And there's hurt that's done to yourself.
Right.
And then there's hurt that's done to those you care about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Them being not trusting of him, right? That completely makes sense, right? But when you're dealing with your own personal situations and issues, you're too close to the situation to actually really have a good perspective, right?
Right.
See things as they are. And even with other, things outside of yourself, right? We all have our biases. But if they see him working to address the other thing that caused them harm, because their mother also caused them harm, right?
Yeah.
As a result of the things that he did, right? So...
Yeah, I love this because, and her name is Fuyumi, I guess, the sister. But he basically says, I'm sorry for everything. I shouldn't have said that. It's too late. Even if it's too late, I must atone and return their future. That's the only path I have. And what it might be is that the pains of their past are potentially restricting their futures. Right. And that's something that is his fault due to the trauma he put upon them. So his path will be, I'm going to take responsibility here. Yeah. And basically take the long, struggling road here. And good luck with that endeavor. And NG.
We are excited to see you go.
Yeah. One for all. Okay. Guys, we got full-on hardcore avatars flashback lineage of the original talking to his older brother, and we get to see kind of the details of why All for One kind of became who he was, because there's an aspect of him here that's trying to humanize him a little bit, and is basically that, yes, he is manipulating people. He is absolutely...
he's giving them what they want, though. Right. And in some cases, giving them what they want is a very good thing. We don't know what that guy did when he got the spikes and whatnot. Nope. Right? It could have been that he's just like, awesome. Next time those guys mess with me, then I'll actually be able to stand up to them and fight on equal ground. Right?
Right.
Or it's okay, now I'm going to try and get revenge for the pain that was caused to me. Like that. Who's to say?
Okay.
And with the guy that got his quirk taken away from him, that's huge, right? He got his life back in a lot of ways. Didn't address the underlying issue, right? Like I'm guessing he probably wouldn't bring up with his family of, hey, why didn't you exactly accept me?
Right.
Just because I was starting to be different. I changed for you. I got rid of that, but now I know your love is very much conditional.
Yeah. But the character of All for One got so much power by having this cult surrounding him. To the point where just by him having desires and whims, the world basically bent in response.
Yep.
And that's something that would corrupt anyone. However, the brother could tell, even before that he was basically gathering pawns and people that he would then have the ability to control. And he had very little care for them necessarily. So what we get here is a true empirical look at the past via the lineage, of the One for All kind of. I'm using Avatar as a connection point there, but it very much does feel like the past lives kind of thing, and the memories being passed along at a kind of a moment of just, casual subconscious just lapsing. He's dreaming.
Sure.
But then the original starts speaking to Deku. And I mean, there's some things being hinted at here.
So, if we were to list them off, what would you say are the most important ones to bring up? Because the ones that stood out to me was the idea of unlocking the rest of the All for One. One for all. And then the other one was the idea of the singularity.
So let's just go through it. We show him actually putting the power inside his brother that would then merge with the quirk that he already had, so that would become One for All.
Yep.
But then he says, you're the ninth one, right? But you're just barely at 20%, right?
I wanted to show you more. Yeah.
Well, right. He says, be careful. We're past we're long past the singularity point. Oh yeah. I wanted to show you more.
Be careful.
Yeah. We're long past the singularity point.
But it'll be fine.
Yeah. And then Deku's window shatters, probably because he subconsciously used One for All in a small burst.
Right.
And then the power just activated on its own.
And we don't know exactly what that means, because it seemed like this was a thing where Go for it.
Okay, we do know something that directly is the exact same as this, and that's the season 2 bit where the power activated through his hand without his own will, and it woke him up from the hypnosis.
Yeah. What I'm curious about though is that this seemed like something because with MHA, Deku having One for All is kind of ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of the most busted, like it's so over the top. It's so over the top. How do you have the main character have a power like that and have there still be conflict? That's not just interpersonal, right? Actual like fighting conflict. How does it work?
The battle is internal in a lot
the
of
battle
ways.
is internal. And that's why with a lot of these fights, they're not very complicated fights. It's about the heart of the matter. And then it ends up just getting resolved in a punch when Deku, uses One for All.
Because he's trying to save someone's heart often more likely than he is trying to defeat a villain.
Yes, right. And it's great. It's wonderful. But in order to make things a bit more sustainable, because he can't keep disintegrating his body, right? Which was the original limiting factor so that he doesn't just Hulk out into All Might form constantly.
Right.
Because, as we've seen, if you have just a straight-up Superman, that isn't as interesting.
Exactly.
Right. So this is his situation.
Training it, honing it, something that's been passed on. So then there's the father-son kind of connection between him and All Might.
Yep, and it's wonderful.
It's wonderful. But now we have basically the idea of some kind of singularity, the convergence point of probably all these past lives being available to him.
Yeah.
And that being probably like not just a conscious thing where he's like, one for all, and he channels it, but it's also a passive thing.
Right.
A thing that is just there. And that's what All Might seem to just have. Right.
And we've gotten closer and closer to that point with different mechanical kind of excuses, right? We have Eri, going for the infinite 100%, right? And it's great. We have, all these kinds of stuff happening. But since All Might is out of the picture, Deku now needs to step up to that threshold, right? While it is the age of Endeavor right now, and I'm sure Endeavor will buy Deku some more time, it will not last, right? There will come a point where he will have to don the mantle in full. And how is that going to happen? Now, connecting to past lives seems like a great way to start it.
As a great way to start it, yeah.
And the reaching out of the hands very much seemed to me like if our fingers touch, then you'll unlock some new checkpoint.
It's
horizon or whatever.
It's very much Nana Shimura reaching out, handing the light over to All Might, and him picking it up, and then using that in his punch, against All for One in season 3. Yeah.
So I'm very curious to see what happens in the next episode, because that could, what happened there in the room could be something as simple as what happened with Shinso, right? And it's just it triggered randomly. Okay, that's a bit of proof that those actually are the past, One for All.
So then he goes and talks with All Might, asks some questions about this. There are some things that we have just kind of lingering in the background that All Might has very much made reference to. He's like, oh, you're not ready for that yet. Like, it's not time. Okay. And he didn't see you in that list there, in that group there.
Right, and that's probably because All Might hasn't died yet. But but he has lost One for All. Like that was something I was kind of wondering. I was like, is All Might just going to be there? There was that one that was like all glowy and yellow, but he was in the wrong order. So,
to be All Might.
Right. Yeah, he was like third or something like that.
Right. He was definitely not the most recent one, because that was the part that was funny, was that All Might did show up. I think. Did he show up in No, he didn't show up in season 2's assemblage of images.
Because I thought there were 8. I thought it was like 332.
Yeah, it did seem like that, didn't it?
Yeah.
I'll go back and check that. But at the very least, All Might was not here. Nana Shimura was the recent one in the whole lineage lineup here. So potentially this is going to be something where he then trains with Yoda, basically, again, a little bit, where it's not necessarily the physical training, but it's because he kind of already did with little bouncy old guy, Gran Torino, But with All Might and asking him like lore questions, like, okay, what's the deal? Why did this kind of thing happen?
Yeah, because it really doesn't feel like it's you need to keep exercising and then eventually you'll work up to 20, 22, 28, and eventually get to 100%.
Yeah.
It more feels like there's like some sort of like stopping mechanism that's kind of for his own safety, but at the same time, All Might was able to do that pretty much from the get-go. So, what is the deal exactly?
So there's been a visual thing for every moment where All Might has gone all out.
Yeah, where it's the constellation.
The constellation thing,
Yep.
and then it all coalesces into his hand.
Right.
Brings it out, excuse me.
Yep.
And a full bit there. I think what it is it's basically just a very simple avatar state type thing where he brings all of those lives, all of their energy, all that it is, and that's a part of something that the quirk is doing when it's passing on something that is basically being honed and, basically formed, and there's basically. Oh, sorry. We'll go ahead.
Well, I just thought of something. I seem to recall them saying at some point that All Might didn't actually use One for All 100% all the time, because otherwise he would, like, his steps would cause earthquakes and things like that. Like,
of course.
that he just had incredibly fine-tuned control over it and didn't get any negative repercussions. So taking that as an addendum onto the stuff I said earlier, that's technically what Deku needs to get to.
Right.
Yeah.
Deku's whole thing has always been about control, and if All Might basically having this thing that he can channel consciously for a big punch is one thing. What was the part that was All Might's just kind of passive,
hulked out form, like he
exactly.
kind of seemed to look like
that
before he got, One for All, but
well,
like
not really, no.
Yeah.
No.
Okay,
no.
not that big. Yeah,
no,
not that
even
big.
then, not really. Like, if I remember correctly,
he looked like a college jock. Like not All Might. 7'8" or whatever, and 500 pounds. Well, yeah, but he still was thick.
He was still a yoked boy.
Yeah, which is like, okay, it's cool for the design, but it doesn't necessarily.
Okay, because I think I must be missing a flashback in my memory banks, because I remember the point where he's with Nana Shimura in the snow by the river, and he's like, I want to be a symbol. I want to be that example, and the world needs that. He was not yoked boy.
Well, yeah, and regardless, even if he was like a little bit strong, he was not All Might level physique.
Yeah, he definitely had to get up to that point in order to be able to handle it. To actually be able to use it.
Yeah.
So, okay. Then I want some All Might flashbacks in like a couple episodes or so.
I want some All Might conversations.
Just All Might conversations, but I want that to lead to All Might flashbacks with like Nana Shimura and stuff.
Gotcha.
I think that could be a really cool way for us to get it from the audience omniscient perspective, where All Might's telling Deku things, but he's also in the same breath probably remembering things that we get as the audience. Because I love the idea of just Nana Shimura being developed more because she's tied to Shigaraki and that whole family thing, which just feels so juicy whenever they decide to go back to that. But anyway, very long discussion here. Thank you so much for getting into this one here. MHA is back.
Yep.
Big, cool plot things going on in parallel with each other.
Hawks and Endeavor's whole family.
Hawks and Endeavor's things is so cool.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, but y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion, well, you gotta wait because we're watching these week to week.
Yep.
But if you want to watch full-length timer version of this reaction, where you sync up your own footage with the MHA footage, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an any level support there gets you access to our Discord, where you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.